Allies, enemies, and those yet unaligned, howdy and welcome to another episode of Metamour Than You Bargained for. I am your host, Lyn Lawless. On this show, we read stories from all over the internet and give our rather questionable advice. The twist here, everything's going to revolve around non-monogamy. Some way, shape, or form, it's about non-monogamy. And a disclaimer that our stories are edited for time, privacy, and all the shebang, but we're not going to cut out any important details. On the microphone today, we have my lovely friend, Cuddlesandsharps, but we'll be calling you Cuddles. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at in your journey.
Hey, so I have been poly for a little over a decade. The last couple years, I've been enjoying exploring being solo poly. I've been in the kink lifestyle for a little over a decade as well, and I'm stoked to be here today.
Yeah, so a little bit about Cuddles. Cuddles was my DM in the longest running tabletop RPG game that I ever got to play in, and it was amazing. It was fun. It survived the pandemic. It survived players leaving. It survived me dating one of the players at the table, and then not dating one of the players at the table. And like all that happened was just I got a little snarky from time to time. I didn't try to kill him or anything often. Oh, but it's been amazing, and you are one of the first people in this community that really opened me with the open arms of yes, you're welcome. I think we first met in the the tacos chat of back in the day.
Yeah, that's right, tacos.
Oh God, on Kick.
Yep.
Way back. Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, I'm excited.
Well,
let's go.
Without farther ado, let us pour the tea on non-monogamy. All right, Sloane, throw in that goofy ass intro music. Meta. All right, the title of this one is Jealousy and Dangerous BDSM Scenes. So they say, I already wrote this from a different angle on BDSM advice sub. If you want to hear the same story from a different angle, I looked for it. I couldn't find it. I was bummed. It seems like they have deleted their account since then. Womp womp. But anyway. So, OP says, I have a partner, Koi, NB, they, and one of our favorite shared activities is Kenbaku, rope. Koi bottoms for me most of the time, and I've put 1.5 years of dedicated study into this hobby. I wouldn't call myself a master, but I'm well beyond the beginning stage. I often suspend them because our trust in each other is strong. I put them in riskier ties than I would put anyone else in. I really run with a safety-first perspective, and I take no new risks without learning everything I can about the safety beforehand. I understand in the core of my being that rope is edge play, and if I'm careless, I could seriously hurt or injure my partner. I'm proud to say I've never injured someone yet. It's been 1.5 years. And I credit that just to how carefully I navigate this study. That's the context. All right. So, I have a meta, Daryl, he, through Koi. My understanding of this partner is that their relationship, to me, is a very jealous one. I understand why. I'm a very similar type of person, but I also have this skill that our hinge really desired, and I get the impression that they also might be jealous of some other aspects of our relationship and of my personality and my lifestyle. Oh, I practiced rope for 1.5 years. I'm not exactly a master, but I haven't hurt anybody. I put her in the most dangerous. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll leave you alone, OP. I'm sorry. You just
For
sound
now.
a little bit. You sound a little bit 23. So they say I'm a very compersion-oriented type. I love seeing my partners love on their other partners. I get the impression, though, that Daryl is not very like that. Koi asks on behalf of Daryl a few months ago that I not be physically close with Koi in his presence. Things like hand on thigh or holding hands while driving, hugging, handing on the back, chase stuff, really. I agreed, and I know what it feels like to be jealous. What I didn't understand is that he wouldn't apply the same concepts to how he interacts with them around me. In other words, it feels like a double standard where I need to restrain myself, but he's free to touch them all the time in my presence. That makes me feel weird. Valid. I'd be happy if the rule was applied evenly to both of us, whatever the rule needed to be. All right, so here's where the important bit is. I have tied Koi in Daryl's presence twice. BDSM Etiquette 101 is that you do not enter a scene you are not part of the negotiations for. Yes. So that's entering a scene without consent of the people involved. Daryl has done this 3 times now. Once a few months ago, and twice yesterday. Woof. In rope is especially dangerous because if they touch my partner in rope, they could shift something about my rope work and cause an injury. This almost happened last night, and I came very close to dropping my partner. Frankly, I'm livid at him, and I'm incredibly angry at myself for letting him step on my control of the scene and putting our shared partner in serious danger. I kind of couldn't even sleep last night because I was so preoccupied with the idea that I don't think I'll ever forgive myself for not speaking up more forcefully the first time it happened. During the debrief of the scene afterwards, I told Coy that that could never happen again. I told them that I originally intended on talking to Daryl myself. But honestly, with my feelings in the place that they are, I wouldn't be able to have that conversation. I'm too angry that he felt it was appropriate to put our shared partner's life in danger so he could assert physical control. Why couldn't cuddle time have just happened like 10 minutes later? The important underlying piece is that he felt he needed to affirm their connection with our hinge in the middle of a dangerous, intimate scene between them and I. They also tied each other in my presence, and I kept a respectful distance because I understand that that's an intimate moment between two people, and I want that joy for them. But he wasn't willing to let me have that moment too. I don't even know what I'm actually here to ask for advice on. I plan on talking to my partner today about essentially everything I've outlined here. I guess if anyone has anything valuable to say, I'm open to it. I might request kindness even if the advice you're giving is tough. I'm incredibly angry with myself, and I'm not sure having that externalized is the best idea. Thoughts?
Man, I think the biggest theme for me throughout this entire piece was there's so many extremes, which just shows like, not just youngness, but like inexperience in the lifestyle, right? Like never gonna forgive himself, livid, like all of these just giant, unfortunate things happen. You got to talk about it and move on. Like the idea that you'd never forgive yourself because, for the first time in a year and a half, something happened during a scene. Like, I promise it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and like honestly, that feels very machismo oriented. It doesn't feel like he feels bad about it because it feels like, oh, I'm the top. I'm supposed to protect, and like it doesn't feel right. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that goes with the other themes throughout the piece where like, I've been tying for a year and a half and like I'm not a master at it, but it's just like we get it. You didn't need all of that extra context to say like how great you are and how studied you are, and it's definitely continues that theme of like I'm important, and like this whole story was about a dangerous situation that ended up like happening to his bottom.
Yeah.
He said it maybe twice, like talked about his actual bottom in the scene, like.
Yeah. It feels very Peacock, but like, oh gosh. So, talking about how they tie each other and stuff like that, outside of it, and it just, why, this might be me being too hesitant, but why are you doing things that could potentially kill your partner after a year and a half of experience doing them?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that wild of me to say?
I mean, I think though, like the other extreme that like, because of all the other extremes, I feel like maybe what would have happened is like, they would have fallen on the ground and, I don't know, sprained their ankle or something at most, like there's so many extremes in the rest of the story that when he says like
maybe a little bit of hyperbole going on.
Yeah, for sure. Like could have killed. I'm like, I doubt whatever you were doing after a year and a half would have like actually killed them,
Yeah. If you're doing something where a slight touch from an outside, your bottom could sneeze.
Sure.
And if like a little touch could disrupt the rope and kill them,
yep,
you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
Because oh my God, if he touched, like I get it. It's not okay to walk up in someone's scene and assert yourself in your connection with their sub.
Yeah, that was a lot.
It's a lot. It just feels like two slightly insecure people kind of bouncing off of each other's chests. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Oh, gosh.
Well, and I at first when I was reading the very beginning of it, when he said that like BDSM etiquette 101, I was like, well, that's an assumption that the partner actually knows BDSM etiquette 101. But then at the very end, OP did mention like that they tie each other too. And I was like, okay, it's probably a safe assumption that they should know in general that they can't participate in a scene. But also, every single time I play with people that have partners that are going to be in the room, I also make sure to tell them outright that, like, that's the expectation, you know? Because that's what safe scenes are. Communicating and maybe over communicating a couple times.
Yeah, especially like with polyamory, so many strings can get tugged when someone is having a very vulnerable BDSM scene, maybe with someone that is not the other partner that's there in the crowd.
Yeah.
And they can have lots of fifis about that. And we don't want those fifis to intrude on the space that others are like making sacred and making theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all assumptions, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the other really, the other thing that got me in this was when OP started talking about how they told Koi, right?
Yeah.
That this could never happen again. And I was like, okay, whether you're the dom or the top, you assume responsibility, right? For an outside person, right? For Daryl to come in and do something that made you uncomfortable and potentially made the scene dangerous. And then you to tell Koi, like, you have to go talk to Daryl. I'm so angry that I can't talk to him. No, it is your responsibility to make sure that nothing dangerous happens in your scenes again. Sure, you should talk to Koi and make sure they're aware that you weren't comfortable with it, but it is not their responsibility for you to clean up after a scene, right? Like,
right. Like making Koi then have to go and sweep up this and like organize that. And like I understand we put a lot on hinges and we do expect hinges, you know, to have really good communication skills. But if you are, like you said, being the dom, the top, the whatever in this scene, in this situation, you are the safety lead. You are the safety manager. It is your job to make sure someone isn't walking up on the scene. And so like, yes, you let it happen twice. Don't go this whole like I'm never going to forgive myself. You know, that's the people who are like, oh, I'm never going to do blah, blah, blah again because something has happened regarding blah, blah, blah. I come back to it just feels like a pissing contest between these two. Because thinking back to like the physical affection in each other's presence, what's their hierarchy going on here? Because it feels like Daryl is trying to like, if Daryl's the only one allowed to like be physically affectionate when they're together and doesn't want OP to be physically affectionate with Koi, that again feels like possessiveness and ickiness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and for Koi to be okay with that and that be like the established thing moving forward, I kind of assume that there is some kind of hierarchy there that OP just didn't explain, you know?
Maybe OP doesn't like it and is just like fully ignoring it, you know, the kind of like, oh, this is just happening. Well, I don't know why this is happening. It's awful.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people in situations like this will like avoid having conversations because they know the answer isn't what they want. So the longer that they can like play off this ignorance of the situation or what's going on, they can kind of just like be more comfortable. Like, oh, not having this awkward conversation. But, you know, I'm so angry. I feel so justified in my angry. And no, we're not going to talk about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like throughout this entire thing, right? It's just like lots of extremes, lots of emotion, right? The like he was so angry that he couldn't even talk to Daryl. Like you need to go process that and then calm down and then talk to Daryl. But like the idea that you're so angry that you can't talk to someone, like, okay, well, you gotta get a hold of those emotions. You can have them, right? They're valid, but then you need to like put them in check and go have a conversation.
Yeah, because it's perfectly valid to say, hey, Daryl, we need to talk, but I need a minute. I'm feeling some feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Daryl, want to go grab a coffee in a public place tomorrow at 9 a.m.?
Yeah, yep.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Y'all need to have that conversation. And honestly, I would have that conversation without Koi there just because you don't want to be like triangulating and like playing tug of war with Koi in the middle. Because it does seem like Koi is a little bit conflict avoidant. They're a little sub-bottomy, little...
yeah.
But we don't know. We're all hearing all of this from OP's point of view, and OP's point of view is very centered.
Right, for sure.
What a mess you want to start with. Anything about this one before I scoodle us onto the next one?
Yeah, you know, just talk. Mistakes are okay. You're going to be okay. Everyone's going to learn from it and move on. Like, the only bad that comes out of these situations is if you don't talk about it and you don't learn from it.
Mm-hmm. The avoidance of having conversations here to, I don't know, preserve your machismo or whatever, it isn't actually doing any long-term favors.
Yep.
All right, so on to the next one. Listener write in. My M24 partner, F24, has mobility issues for which she uses aids and takes medication. I really want to be a better Dom and find more ways for scenes that are safe for her without sacrificing the intensity and danger that she loves to feel. She wants to adventure and role play, and I want to offer that to her while still being mindful. How do I do things like ask, this isn't too far for your hips, right? In a sexy way. When I'm supposed to be like a mind flayer or a druid man bear thing, ravishing her. Tips!
Okay, I'm so excited when I saw that you wanted this one to be answered because this is my whole shit. Yeah! So I am a very, very, very large woman. Also, I'm 5'2", and I have chronic medical conditions that make certain parts of my body hurt, and there are things that I cannot do with my body, and that is why I wrote a very, very long piece on FetLife, literally about playing in other bodies. So let me just jump in with this one. There are two main things that I wanted to talk about here. One, obviously everyone knows like red, yellow, green, hopefully everyone knows about those. There is another one, and you don't have to use this color. You can use whatever color you want. But it's pretty common, and it's blue, and it's for medical. So it means like, check in with me. Like, what's going on with my body right now, right? Something feels wrong. And it's not like necessarily red where you're like, this hurts too much, or I feel dangerous, or this triggered something in me. It's like my leg is, in the wrong position. I'm starting to cramp kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Putting that on the table so that, your partner, right, she could say blue and you could like check on her body. And be like, oh, her hips are in a weird position, or like really, really quick communication that like doesn't like break the whole scene and you have to have like a long talk about it, right? But like, oh, like she needs me to stop. Let's reassess. Okay, let's go. So like making sure that you know that that's a tool that you have helps a lot with like the pre-scene stress, because no matter what, she's going to be safe.
Yes, and you can trust her to give whatever color she needs in that moment.
For sure. The other thing that I'd say is really important is talking before the scenes. And I don't mean like right before the scenes. You should just have a general understanding with your partner about the things that they can or don't feel comfortable doing. Like go lay in bed and move around a bunch and be like, okay, this hurts. This feels good. Oh, she can stay like this for a while. Oh,
wrestle a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like not in a scene, just like go in all the positions, use the toys. Like this is also really great for tops too. How long can you stand holding a toy, right? All that kind of stuff. Just like practice before a scene so that the scene can be phenomenal.
Yeah, so you can both be in that space.
For sure. And then for the specific question about like, how do you ask if they're okay during a scene while like keeping it sexy? So I had a top that I played with like right at the peak of me trying to accept some of my chronic conditions. And I was really, really nervous about playing with him. It was going to be the first time in many, many years. And oh my goodness. So like he did the work for my body.
Incredible.
Yeah. Like if I couldn't get in a position that would make tying easy for him, he just like moved me, and like, again, I am a very, very large, but like, it's really easy to find leverage on a bed, right? Pull the sheets, like you use like the core parts of your body. Like don't pull on someone's limbs.
Show
like,
mechanical understanding.
Yeah, for sure. Pull on like
fulcrum.
Yeah, exactly. Pull on someone's core, right? Not like, they're like phalanges and stuff, right?
You can't be dragging someone across the bed by their pinky toe unless they ask for that.
Exactly. And then like just like shove them, move them where you want while like, again, this is where the pre-scene messing around happens, right? If you know that it's okay if you flip her over if she looks like she's uncomfortable on her back. Like do what you need to do with her body, because one, that's so fucking hot. And two, like as long as you know ahead of time that she was okay with it or that in the moment she will call it if she isn't, like go for it.
Yes. So much this, because I love when, like, say you're goofing around or whatever, but you kind of notice when your partner gets a little breathy when you have them in a certain position, but you just kind of file it away.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, this is a less comfortable position. And then you whip out the position that you tried out beforehand, and they're like, whoo! It's such good shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. And I think one other really important part of all of this too is like your bottom should explore this on her own too, because as much as we can try to be like open and comfortable with our partners, there's like a mental lock in your head. Doesn't matter how great you are, how open-minded you are, there's something in your brain that says I cannot be 100% me when another person is right next to me. So like let her explore her body without you in the room. Let her see what feels good. That it also, like, doing that can be kind of empowering, because when I'm in front of a partner and I'm trying to figure out if I can do something with my body, it's harder because I'm also thinking about them in that moment. But if I'm like, how do I get from point A to point B? Let me try 3 ridiculous things that probably make me look absurd. Oh, okay, one of them worked. Great, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Having like strategies and plans and like ideas so that sex is improv, you know? You got to have your little improv tools in your tool belt. It's and finding out what like works for your body is like you said, it's empowering because, you know, say you have some restrictions in some ways, but you find yourself like maybe you're super flexible in some other ways, and you can whip that out sometime, you know.
Yeah. Heck
Or, you know,
yeah.
whatever you may be finding out about yourself, like if you find out like that you are just a champ that can be in one position for like 6.5 hours but only 12 seconds in the other position, rock that 6.5 hour position, you know.
Absolutely. No, exactly. Like, that's one of the things I talk about in my piece. And that was a super empowering thing that I figured out for myself. I'm a very heavy bottom, like, whoa, beat me black, right? But I didn't realize that for a long time because I was doing like the standard positions, right? Where you're like on your knees and they're
Mm-hmm.
spanking you. And I didn't really think about the fact that I was calling because my knees hurt, not because my ass hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And once I realized, like, get some pillows, lay down, like, make sure that they can get you at an angle they need to, right? Because tops need to be comfortable too.
Yeah.
But like once you find,
Ergonomic BDSM.
yeah, exactly. Use lots of pillows. Once you get comfortable, I was like, oh shit, like I can go and go and go. And usually now my tops call it, which is like just a super empowering, totally different experience than I'd ever realized my body was capable of.
Yes, I freaking love that. Okay, we've teased around it. Would you like to read your piece that you wrote
Oh,
for our
sure.
lovely audience? Or, you know, you can skim it, you can read as much of it or as little of it as you
It
want.
is so long.
It is, but we read Reddit stories here all the time, and Sloane is such a good editor.
Okay. Okay, so most of my life, I've been told my body isn't worth loving, that it isn't sexy, even if it is worth fucking, that it isn't worth being seen in public with, that I need to take up less space, that I had to be a secret, that someone would play with me, but only if I kept my clothes on so they didn't have to see my body. I was an inconvenience, and I wasn't worth the energy it would take to account for my size. Our society is drowning in subtle and not so subtle messages that only certain bodies are worth loving. But this piece is about saying fuck you to all of that. So let's talk about how to experience your baddest, kinkiest self in whatever body you live in. First off, knowing your body is worth the pleasure a scene brings you is crucial, and often the hardest part. Talk therapy or EMDR around specific traumas can be incredibly powerful tools and help me understand society's part and how much people with othered bodies hate their bodies. Having a third party that you respect lay out the reality of the broken system we live in and working through that with them and accepting it helps you take a step back and recognize that you are worth love, that you are worth the effort, and you do deserve pleasure. However, I also recognize that therapy isn't affordable to everyone, which is why support systems are critical. Supportive partners and friends that remind you how incredible you are regularly and help you quiet the external voices. Practicing self compassion is also so important. Regardless of the body type you live in, you need to know your body. How long can you stand, sit, kneel? Do old injuries or chronic illnesses leave certain parts of your body in heightened states of sensitivity? Does the medication you're on have side effects that will impact the scene? There's a million more questions, right? But the point is, before you talk to another person about a scene, you have to at least have an idea about what your body can and can't do and how you feel in it. Next up, try to find a good play partner. Example, a beautiful human recently visited and we did some light rope bondage. He does all the initial knots around my wrists and thighs and ankles before starting to tie them to the bed. He goes to toss some rope under me to grab it on the other side, except I have a tummy and thick thighs and all that good shit, so the rope doesn't pass under me smoothly. Without thinking about it, he just says, Can you hand me the rope? Done. No awkward conversation about why my body stopped the rope as he tries to figure it out or goes looking for it. Then he keeps tying. He goes to pull me closer to him and roll me how he wants me for the tie. And guess what? I'm heavy. My body doesn't move as easily as he's used to. So he looks at me all sexy Dom mode and says, come here. A younger version of me would have gotten embarrassed and apologized, but current me chose to lean into it. And you know what I saw? That the size of my body allowed a new layer of delicious power exchange into the scene. This man comes at my insecurities with love and acceptance and creativity and a willingness to be flexible to get us where we need to go. So fucking hot.
Fuck yes.
Find a partner that works with you and your body to make that scene happen. Bonus points if they make you feel even better about your body during the process. So that was all relatively generalized. Here's things I've learned about playing in my specifically bigger body. Account for your size. Can you enjoy a scene if you feel like you're spilling off of the table and could lose your balance any moment? Can both you and your play partner get enough purchase on the furniture to do what the scene calls for? Be bent over a couch arm or bed instead of a spanking bench if the bench is too low for you or you can't hold your weight. Work with your play partner to find a space that will offer you what you need. All right, flexibility in various positions are tricky. Use pillows to get your body where you need it, on the bed or ground. Use pillows under your knees to support the pressure your body is putting on, even if it feels okay without them at first. Figure out your limits. I'm really flexible and can be folded and thrown around however my partner needs. But my body gets in the way of itself sometimes. I can only bend as far as my tummy and thighs will let me before they run into each other and stop. Okay, clothing. If I'm going to be tied down or stay in the same position for most of the scene, I can be naked. I can walk around and shift around naked as well. But if you want me to maneuver around your body throughout a scene, it's easier if I have a short dress on. I get really hot and I sweat really easily, which means my skin sticks to other bodies. If I need to move around a body a lot during a scene, then it eventually ruins it for me if I have to keep peeling myself off of them. And stamina. Lay me down and my top will call the scene before I do, more often than not. Ask me to be on all fours on the ground and I'll be done in 5 minutes. Tie me up in a more natural way and I can happily sit in it for hours. Tie my legs up too high and my muscles will start screaming pretty quickly. Just choose methods of movements and positions that let you last as long as you want to in a scene. Explain why to your partner so they don't keep telling you that XYZ position is sexier, etc.
Yes. I fucking love this though because there's so much consideration and like especially about knowing your own body so that you can have the scenes you want to. It's so good. It's so good. So much insight and like the vulnerability is already 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that was like 30 years of therapy. So you guys just get it for free. I did the work. Learn from it.
Yes. And I love this. So, like, I have a pretty stereotypical human form, but I have a lot of, top dysphoria. And so I've had partners in the past who, of course, want me to whip them titties out. And it kind of feels awkward in a moment to be like, no, I'd like to keep my top on, please. But I have one particular partner who it's kind of become a game now of like whoever has the last piece of clothing on is the top, is the boss, And so often it's me. And so he's like, oh no, I guess you have to be in charge because you have the last clothing on. And I'm like, yes, I get to keep my sports bra on, please. Never ask me to take my sports bra off. But, like, it's so good to have that stuff built in already instead of having to interrupt the scene. Like, going back to, what the write-in was, it is so much sexier when you have, like, a little code or something built in so you can ask them what they need or adjust them however you need. But you can't have that unless you know yourself at the top.
Yup.
And that is such good shit. Oh, thank you for the free therapy.
Anytime.
And I love this. And yes, seriously, go find Cuddlesandsharps on FetLife. If you are also in an othered body, give your advice, give your tips, and let my friend here put it into wonderful words that can help even more people.
Yeah.
And at the end of this, we're also going to have a way for y'all to email us and ask questions. And I eventually want to have an episode where I bring people on and like have them just answer the biggest or some of the best questions, that they get sent from emails and stuff. So stay tuned. Email stuff at the end. All right, let's just go into the next story. FetLife, a rant. I know all of this has been said a million times, but it's eating at me, so I have to get it out. I reactivated my FetLife, which I rarely ever used when I had it. I decided to expand my search and maybe find long-term kinky friends to play with or a possible relationship. I wish there was an option to hide yourself from certain demographics, such as, straight men, men over the ages of XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Before you say, oh, you're being ageist, oh, you're being sexist, no, I'm not. I'm just tired of having specific deal breakers like I'm not interested in men over 40 or I'm not interested in being a sub, and still it's a flood of endless gross messages from men of 45 plus. By the way, I am not in the camp of people who would find the same message flirty and sexy if it was from someone around my age. Someone I found physically attractive even. I had pretty good looking guys on there that would message me similar messages. It doesn't matter who it's coming from. I don't want an inbox of, hey, come choke on daddy's cock. It's just added that the men are 20 years older than me and seeking me out because they think that my age equals naivete. I know there are some women who are into dirty talk on there, and that's fine. Just ask first. If they have a preference, respect it. If I'm viewing a woman's profile and she says she's not interested in anyone under the age of 25, I'm 22, I don't message her. It just sucks because I want to try some fun stuff. I've recently been considering pursuing multiple group sex options and, with well-trusted established friends, and I'm looking for more like-minded people, but there's so much garbage to sort through. I really wish there was a sex-positive social networking site that was more queer-friendly and kink-friendly and poly-friendly, that had the option of meeting people to date, hook up, but where it wasn't the primary focus. I know we have OkCupid, but that's 90% used as a mainstream dating site. We have FetLife, which is 70% horny straight dudes who aren't even into kink or alternative sexuality. They just want to put their dick in something. Maybe I'm being too idealistic, and there's simply not enough of a population of what I'm looking for to justify an entire site. I'm sorry for the awesome straight, poly, non-mono, men who ruin it for the rest of them, but that seems like the only demographic I run into issues with. Anyway, have a great day. Just needed a rant. Smiley face. TLDR, FetLife sucks. Honestly, this is why I didn't stop using FetLife. I would get so excited, like, oh, I got a message. Aww.
Oh my god, I feel that. And when I was a community leader, let me tell you, it's not just like the shitty messages of, gross people that clearly didn't read your profile, or, 19-year-old doms and all that kind of shit. It was also like people reaching out for support and help, getting invested in the community. And I was like, these are worth the disappointment that it's not actually a real person that wants to talk to me about something, because you get that message notification and you're like, oh, maybe I'm gonna find a play partner, and then you're like, oh, it's a gross 19-year-old that thinks he can own me, but at least when there are good messages that aren't necessarily what you're looking for, like someone sees your profile and is like, hey, I see that you're into sharps, I want to get into that, can I have advice? You're like, okay, this is worth having, right? When you're a community leader, it's worth having because you're open up to people. But if you're not, and you're not a public space, you're not selling something, you're not posting pictures about whatever to promote your own products, I don't see a lot of need for it anymore, because it's just straight up 70% of the people on FET are just,
they have a copy paste shit ass message that they're sending to everyone.
100%.
Oh my god, when I was younger, me and my friends used to lay in bed and all swipe on Tinder together and just giggle about profiles, or when we'd all match with the same dude, comparing his first message to see if he was a fucking copy and paste sender.
Yep. That's that. It's just enjoyment. It's frustration and enjoyment. I like the shitty messages.
You gotta give it a giggle.
I feel like the only benefit to FetLife, again, is if you're promoting yourself or a product of yours, or you're a community leader that needs to be accessible.
Yeah, you can use that to find local groups, and then just go to those group meetups and stuff like that. Take it out of the cyberspace, because, and also you could always be the person that initiates messaging someone that you think is really cool and neat, and not, you could be the difference. You could be the person that's not sending a gross message, If you're going there to like make friends and stuff like that, find people who are like, hey, I really love the work you did with this. Can we talk about it sometime? Or, you know, whatever you see on their profile, because you're the person that's actually going to their profile and reading it. You know, you can try to make these connections if FetLife is where you think you might want to do it.
Yeah.
You ignore what's coming in on your inbox. You probably delete most of it, but you can go and message people and, you know, give it a shot.
Yeah, and if they're real messages, they'll probably respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I'll say, like, I know that going to things, like in-person things, right, can be scary and, you know, anxiety and introvert and all that stuff. I get it. But that's where the real people go, right? Like, someone can be, even if you do get a good message from someone, right, and you're talking to them for weeks or months or whatever, you don't know who that person is, right? They could be great to you, but be one of those people that like turns, right?
Yep.
You know who knows that? The community. So like go to Munches, find people, meet people.
And when you go to Munches, you'll often get a warning from people. They'll be like, hey, you see this guy's profile? I took a screenshot. Don't go on a date with him.
Yep.
He did whatever, you know, shit ass thing that you want to avoid. I am a huge introvert. You wouldn't believe it by the fact I'm hosting a podcast and whatnot, but I don't like to leave my house, and I still make myself go to a kink or you know, poly whatever meetup at least once per quarter. I venture forth from my lair once per quarter to civilized conversations. Yeah, you're not going to get much of that on FetLife from what's incoming. You can, you know, give it a giggle. Start screenshotting the funniest ones, and, you know, next time you and your friends are drinking, y'all can make it a drinking game. Y'all can bring your silly messages, you know, from whatever dating apps y'all are each on, and have fun, you know, and if drinking is not your thing, obviously, you know, you cheese ball each other. It's all fun and games until you start throwing kolaches, okay? Ran out of cheese balls, and it was funny to throw the wiener. All right, Annie Hoozles, you got anything else about this one before I move us along?
No.
Hee. As we come to the end of our show, I like to wrap things up with a little bow. This final story, it's one where it's got updates, you know, it's got resolution, because I hate leaving you all on a cliffhanger. All right, so this one is coming from the Best of Redditor Updates subreddit. And they have dates and everything. Ugh, I love a well-organized Best of Redditor Updates. It's long. All right, we're gonna take breaks. Okay, so thinking about trying to veto my wife's dom. August 20th, 2024. My 32M, wife Fiona, 30F, and I have been married for 5 years and started exploring kink and E&M a couple of years ago. We got really into shibari and have done some full suspensions as my skill has increased. We have some CNC and light sensation play and flogging, but I've never been comfortable with impact play or more extreme pain play. Fiona met Tim, 40M, at a kink event, and they started doing scenes together. At first, it was non-sexual, but that changed over time. Tim did things I couldn't, and Fiona enjoyed the new experiences, and they started to see each other once a week. In the 7 months they have been playing together, it has gotten more extreme and is not only worrying me, but it has affected our relationship and our intimacy. For example, bulleted list. Deep bruises over her breasts and butt that stay sore for days sometimes, preventing any play that I want to have with her. Our shibari sessions have almost stopped completely because she is too sore. Sex is often off the table for a couple of days due to her being too tender after their sessions with large toy play and fuck machines. Mood swings due to sub drop where she won't engage with me and just isolates herself. Oof. They had a collaring ceremony. She insisted on wearing a day collar when she went out. The 3 big red flags. 1. We made plans to go to a kink convention in another city, hotel, pre-registered for a pretty pricey shibari class. We got there and are checking things out when we run into Tim, and he just happened to bring her collar. She wanted to show him an exhibit, and I reminded her we had a 2 p.m. class to go to. No problem, she said. She missed the class and didn't show up until 7 p.m., still wearing her collar with the lock on it. He took it off the next morning before he left. Number 2, the 2 of us were invited to a pool party, and I asked if she could refrain from getting marked up before the party. The Thursday before the party came, and she comes home with her breasts and legs heavily bruised. No way a swimsuit could hide those marks. We ended up not going after some pretty heated words. And number 3, in June, the day after she came back from his house, we were cuddling and I tried to finger her on the couch. She was spotting and extremely tender. She ended up at the doctor and had 2 small tears and a larger one deep inside that almost needed sutures. The doctor said no sex for 4 weeks. If the bleeding didn't stop, they would have to suture it. This caused a major fight when I said she needed to not see Tim for at least 4 weeks or until she healed completely. It was closer to 5 weeks before we could have sex again. And the final straw was 2 weeks ago. We had a Vegas getaway planned, complete with show tickets to one of her favorite artists. Once again, I asked that she not have a bunch of bruises before the trip to be able to have some intimate time with her while we were gone. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but she had several marks that would be visible on the trip. I told her the day before the trip I reached a breaking point and something had to change. I told her I was going to Vegas alone since she had ignored my request. She was mad but didn't argue much, and I blocked her number during the trip. Whoa. In June, I put my foot down when she wanted to wear her day collar on one of our date nights. I ended up telling her if she wore it around me, I would cut it into little pieces. Yikes. We have had several discussions about boundaries and how unhappy I've been since at least 3 days a week she doesn't want intimacy due to her sessions with Tim. She has argued that this is all consensual and she enjoys the sessions so much. I've asked that she limit her sessions to every other week so we can see a counselor to work through my issues, but she refuses to consider it. We've never had a veto agreement in our relationship, but I'm thinking of using a veto on Tim. Some friends of mine have discouraged me from giving her an ultimatum like that. I guess I could phrase it like I can't be in this relationship where my feelings and needs are ignored like this. Either way, as much as it would hurt, I can't live with this anymore. If it means splitting up, I'm at that point. I know if I draw a line in the sand, I have to be prepared to follow through. I just had a talk with my lawyer this morning to go over options and get a roadmap if I decide this is my only option.
Oh, that escalated so quickly.
Fucking yeah. OP says they have another partner that they see 2 or 3 times a month, so this isn't a one-sided arrangement. But yeah, like over 7 months to go from like, happily married or whatever to I'm gonna potentially divorce you. This is some shit. But
yeah,
you first, because I always lead.
Oof. Oh my God. Okay. Problems all around, everywhere. I couldn't decide who I disliked more as I read more and more. Like, if you have had an actual discussion with your partner to set agreed upon like limits, right? Like, we're going to this thing. Please don't be bruised. Okay, I hear you for sure. Like, you're not a high schooler that's like, I didn't notice I got a hickey. Like, fucking tell your other partner there are no bruises this time. And that's it. Like, if you're straight up disrespecting, like, agreed upon things that are happening with your partner, like, that's really childish and unnecessary. But also, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Everything was just screaming at me. He's threatening to cut up her collar, divorce, vetoing someone else when you straight up don't have a veto agreement in your relationship. Like, this dude has some serious,
don't call it a veto, call it an
issues.
Ultimatum, because that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm glad that eventually, like, therapy got involved in this, but it should have happened way before he started talking to a lawyer or threatening to cut up her personal items.
Yeah. It almost sounds like he's had a lot of control over her throughout their life.
Yeah.
And she's kind of almost doing the teenager thing of like, fuck you, you don't own me, you don't control me, I do what I want. The obstinate defiance that kind of comes with that of like, you told me not to get bruised, well, fuck you, I do what I want.
Right.
Or is she telling Tim, hey, I can't get bruised, and then is he still doing it? Is Tim being a bad top? And like, because, it also kind of sounds like Tim's not doing as much aftercare as maybe he should be.
For sure. Yeah,
maybe,
absolutely.
Definitely, like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, suture, like, almost suture status injuries, I understand playing rough. Like, I love rough. But, like, are you kidding me?
That's too rough.
Yeah. You gotta read bodies. You gotta be careful. You're gonna go in there with big shit. Like, take it slow, Like, especially once he, like, collars her into Sir Dom, like, you are taking her safety as your responsibility, which is like not just her safety, like her mental health. Your like it brings a whole new layer to your dynamic. And like if my dom left me like bruised and like injured in that way, like cut up and shit, we're gonna have words, and not because my husband is pissed.
Right. And like it's worrying to me when I see someone who isolates very heavily. Like I understand, taking space and time for yourself, like to breathe, whatever, but like isolating
Yeah.
after a scene, like I hope that Tim is giving some fucking kind of aftercare. I keep getting hung up on that because it just doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it does seem that like her thing with Tim is very separated, except for the bruises and physical stuff that she's being like left with. But like it feels like her thing with Tim is very isolated from her thing with her husband. And so like he could have been texting her and checking in and all that kind of stuff, and like I don't know that the husband would have been aware, right? But like her spotting while being fingered is the thing that makes them figure out that she's injured, and not like him. Like it just yeah, he is not giving her the right kind of attention regardless of what happened, whether OP told her like, hey, don't get bruised, and she was like, okay, but then she didn't care, or if she told Tim and Tim didn't care. Like there's fucked up shit going on over there, but like nothing that I think justifies like the very strong, possessive, unhealthy response from OP.
Yeah, the cutting up the collar, like going to Vegas without her feels a little like I understand wanting to take space and stuff like that, but like the mentioning that they had tickets to an artist she liked made it feel more spiteful than like self-care, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And also like the blocking the number thing seems really childish and unhealthy. And like to top all of that off, just because you're going to Vegas doesn't mean you got your like boobs hanging out. Like wear a long sleeve sweater or some shit. Like you don't have to not go to Vegas just because you have bruises. Like just wear different clothes than you were planning to. Yes, like I get it. I would be upset too if I had an agreement and it was not being kept. But it doesn't mean like she can't go to Vegas with you.
Also, there are so many places that you can bruise people that you can cover up with most regular clothing.
For sure.
Like, there is nothing, in my opinion, that is quite as good as when you get those really good, like, hip bruises that last for days. And anytime you kind of, like, your pants, like, move and you're like, oh, there's a bruise there. You know, but nobody can see that. If they're, they're going to a pool party or whatever, just keep it on her butt cheeks.
Sure.
And she can just wear shorts in the pool. You know what I mean? Like, you can find ways to be accommodating unless you're doing this out of spite and doing this out of like obstinate, defiant teenagerdom.
Yeah, for sure. And because he didn't say like she also had bruises in those places, right? He just said like she had them specifically where I asked her not to. Like there again, I didn't like anyone in this story.
No. They all kind of suck. They all kind of need to go sit in their corner and think about what they've done.
For sure.
Oh, there's an update. Okay, there's two updates. Let's get to the first one. There's no date on this one. All right, so OP says, thanks for the advice and support everyone has shown me here. Fiona and I had a long talk tonight. She sat and heard me out for the most part. I tried to make it about how I was feeling and what I felt I was missing in our relationship. Fiona actually apologized and said she was still very much in love with me and cared about our marriage and would make an effort to be more mindful of my needs and feelings. But she said she would not allow me to dictate the terms of her relationship with Tim, as it is also very important to her.
Valid.
I said I couldn't see the two relationships being compatible, especially from my point of view. Things went downhill from there. Oh, I'm shocked. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
OP says, I finally said we need to separate for a while until we could figure out if we wanted to work on saving the marriage or simply call it quits. I suggested she could go stay with a friend or a relative while we thought this out, kicking her out of her house. Her response was to call my bluff, saying that she wasn't going to let me manipulate her into giving in to my demands. She wasn't leaving and said I had no intention of divorcing her. I told her I had already spoken with an attorney and was deadly serious, which she called BS on. She grabbed some of her things, went to the guest room, and shut the door. Crap will hit the fan tomorrow as I'm following instructions from my lawyer. I transferred the money from the money? How much? Sorry, anyway. I transferred the money from the checking account into a different account and then called the debit and credit cards called them in as lost and had them issue new cards with new account numbers. They said this would take 6 to 8 days for our new cards to arrive. I also changed all the passwords. This is financial abuse.
Insane.
This is financial abuse.
Awful.
Okay, sorry. Oh, God, my beans all fucking refried. Oh, okay, sorry. This lawyer sounds like a fucking shark.
Oh, 100%.
Divorce lawyers are the worst, sorry. Okay, so tomorrow I plan to get a storage unit and start moving some of my things out of the apartment. Of course, I'm gonna call the lawyer first and give him the green light to have Fiona served. Get served! No, this isn't funny. She called me from Starbucks asking why none of her cards were working the next morning, and I told her what I had done. She said we needed to talk when she got home, and I said we had already had a talk, but she wasn't listening to me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! When she got home, she said, when she got home, she saw her day caller sitting on the dining room table in pieces and started going off on me. I would have...
Man.
I allowed her to vent.
Oh my God.
And when she asked if I had anything to say, I told her I was tired of having it shoved in my face all the time. And while I was telling her off, she noticed several things missing around the apartment. I said I had put them in safekeeping for now. Motherfucker, I hope she didn't buy any of those things. All right. I told her she needed to set up her own checking account and get her paychecks direct deposit routed there. And once she had it set up, I would transfer money from our joint account. She asked what she was supposed to live on till that happened. And I said, you can ask Tim for a loan since he's your new primary now.
God.
Then I said, if you need some cash, I can give you enough to get by until things change. Where's her check been going until right now, OP? Did you take all of... everything. We gotta get to the end. I can't go off right now. Okay. I said she wasn't going to run up any more debt on my credit cards and she should apply for one if she thought she couldn't live without one. I said my lawyer said you would get served on Friday and you should look into getting someone to represent you. She grabbed her purse and said, you're insane. I can't be here right now. And headed to the door. She stopped halfway, turned around, and said she needed gas money. I handed her $100, and she stormed out. I got a $100 you could have, I guess.
Just
fucker.
Casually.
She came back in about an hour and said I couldn't do this and we needed to talk. I went through all of the red flags again that I had listed in the first post and that I wouldn't live like this anymore. She doesn't want to separate or get divorced and now wants to get marriage counseling. I said I would do counseling if she stopped seeing Tim until things are settled. She blew up and said I don't get to make that call. I agreed and said that was her call to make, but I wouldn't entertain counseling while she's still seeing Tim. You fuckburger.
Thursdays are their normal play night.
She was going to go talk to him in person first if she was going to pause their relationship. I put my foot down and said she could do that over the phone. And if she went over to his house, go ahead, pack her bags, stay there. I said if she showed up with a new bruise, then we were done. No second chances. We have an appointment with a counselor next week. He is kink friendly and came recommended from several people. I told her counseling doesn't change the divorce decision. And if we are to cohabitate and try to rebuild something, I need to be legally free to walk away when things go bad again. If things go bad again. This guy is already leaning towards the win. She didn't like this and argued maybe we could work it out in counseling sessions. Sorry for the long read. I will see if she's committed to what she says. God, it seems like she's only 80% on board and keeps waffling on details. It sounds like you're 20% on board, buddy. Maybe when she gets served, she'll make up her mind. Either way, I'm staying the course with divorce. I'm staying the course with divorce, no matter what direction things go. This guy got more infuriating. That's financial abuse!
For sure. I mean, whatever decision she makes, I mean, I know because I read the rest of it, but like whatever decision she makes is like not from a place of actually wanting to like be in a relationship with this guy or try to fix things or whatever. Even if she thinks it is, like, it's because he like ripped her life and control out from under her while she was like happily dating another person. Like she barely knew that there were problems between the two of them before he like stole all of her money and half of her shit and like locked her out of her life and threatened her to like not have a home anymore. Like this dude is
kicks her out. Like,
Nuts.
you can go find somewhere else to live. Like,
Nuts.
no. And
absolutely nuts.
like, if sure, he wants his own money, you know, separate. Take your money out. Leave the money, you know, that's hers in the shared account. Like, you want to be a dick. This is dickish to the extreme that, like you said, she's not going to be staying with you because she loves you. She's going to be staying with you because you made her homeless and broke and destitute.
Yeah.
In a little snap.
Infuriating. And to go from like his earlier post where he was like, I don't want to give her an ultimatum, to like, if you literally ever talk to him ever again, even to tell him that you don't want to see him again, I'm gonna ruin your life.
Like, did he get red pilled in the background of this? Like, did he go into like a men's divorce subreddit? Because that was probably
for
messy.
Sure.
God.
So angry.
Oh, yeah. So this guy fucking sucks. But, you know, everybody sucks in this. But this guy sucks the most.
Mm-hmm.
So the next update comes September 5th, 2024. A lot to unpack and respond to, but I'll try to keep it short. Tim has reached out to me twice now, so I had a decent conversation with him today. I voiced some of my concerns and things I felt he had disrespected by doing. He apologized for the incident at the kink event, but didn't realize I didn't know he was attending as well. Mm-hmm. The collar incident was mostly Fiona's idea, and he had not intended for her to keep it on all night. He was not aware of the pool party incident, but had tried to limit bruising before our trip to Vegas. He seemed remorseful that he had caused so much turmoil in Fiona and Mai's relationship. All right, so Tim, you know, whatever. All right, Tim. While he did admit to going too far a few times, he said he had to end several of their sessions because of the lack of Fiona's own limits, and that she had only used her safe word once in their relationship. He told me he was afraid she might allow herself to get injured badly if she continued like she had been. He told me he was not going to see her again for several reasons. He also asked if she would reach out to him so he could explain. Tim rents dungeon space from a local pro-dom, who has a large space that rents to locals. She has suspended his privileges there for 60 days. Not sure if this is related to us or not. I do know the dom and have attended her private events before. Our second counseling session went well. Fiona had her individual session with a different therapist today. I have been impressed by the effort and attitude she's putting into therapy. Divorce is still on track. Her lawyer met with mine this morning. She is not contesting the divorce, and our financials are already separated. Our 401ks were almost equal, so there is nothing there to split. Both lawyers think we can expedite things rather quickly, and our lease is up in November. By that time, we should know if we plan to continue to cohabitate or not. Fiona doesn't yet know about my conversation with Tim. She says she hasn't reached out to him. This is good. Which he has confirmed in our talk. We did sleep in the same bed last night, and we were intimate for the first time in a long while. In the letter she wrote to me from our first session was that she might want a different relationship going forward. Possibly a 24/7 DS arrangement, but we're still talking about what that might look like. While this update sounds like happily ever after, I have concerns and trust issues. I've got concerns and trust issues! Jesus, man!
Oh my god. I'm legitimately so concerned that Fiona thinks it's okay to potentially enter a 24/7 dynamic with this guy.
Yes, and this very much sounds like someone who hasn't experienced it now has gone full ham. I don't have any limits! Oh my god, I took the BDSM test and everything is 100%!
For sure. Like, and I'm still deciding on Tim, because either, like, that's all true and, like, dude, you should have stopped a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And
the goal shouldn't be to safe word.
For sure, right?
She's only safe worded once. The goal shouldn't be to word.
Yeah. Or all of that is bullshit and he's putting all the blame on her.
Yeah.
Or even if there's somewhere in the middle where, like, that is true, like, maybe still don't put all the blame on her. Like,
you're the top.
Yeah.
Accept the responsibility.
100%. To just, like, offload and be like, yeah, she's the problem. She didn't safe word. She the caller. She didn't tell me about the bruise. Like, ugh. Like, you don't need him to like you. She's clearly in some kind of shitty, unsafe situation right now.
And this sounds like let the men handle it. Let the men talk for a minute.
Yeah,
ma'am.
he absolutely. When he was like, oh yeah, I talked to Tim twice on the call, and I was like, ugh. And that he didn't tell her.
Talk to Tim yet. Like, this
oh
is so
my
gross.
God.
You're deciding what she's doing. You're deciding for her.
Yeah.
The men are talking, Fiona. God, fuck what?
God,
sorry.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope her therapist like helps her figure out that she needs to fucking leave.
Yeah, y'all, I hope y'all don't cohabitate. I hope that Tim learns some things about, being a more considerate and careful and ethical Dom.
Mm-hmm.
And Fiona, you gotta develop some fucking limits, girl, for your own well-being. You can't be self-sabotaging and stuff like this. You can't be trying to blow up your life or whatever it is that you're trying to do. It sounds so much to me like someone who's done with a relationship and is trying to blow it up without being like, the reality of them being done was him ripping all of the money away. Of course she's gonna want to stick around for a bit and make things amicable. And this, we were finally intimate. Like,
it's so weird to be like our lawyers met yesterday and the divorce is on track, but we fucked tonight? Like, what?
Yeah, celebrate the divorce with a good fucking, I guess, or whatever. Jesus, fuck. Okay. Anything else before,
No, God, please get it away from me.
Okay, so what I like to give people a chance for at the end is to give a little polyamory, non-monogamy, etc. survival tip. Like, it can be something from these stories, or it can just be something from your own life. And if you have something you immediately would like to share, you can give it, or I can go first.
I would say you need to be okay and happy single.
Mm-hmm.
There is so many poor decisions are made when you feel like you can't lose the relationship because you'd be miserable without it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that, before you get into relationships and always in between, like, I'm a big believer of a good amount of space after a breakup. Like, just be okay with yourself and being single.
Mm-hmm. And from what you've shared in these stories, my survival tip is to really get to know yourself and to get to know your limits and your preferences and what people can do to love you in the ways that you find satisfying as fuck.
Yeah.
Cuddles, where can people find you? Fet Life, you said, and what else?
Yeah, basically Fet Life, Cuddlesandsharps. I got lots of other writings. They're all about loving yourself, and I have a lot of 101 writings on there too. Like I said, I used to be a community leader in a much smaller city than where I am now, and I love helping newer people safely enter this community. So if you're new, if you got questions, if you want to learn more, hit me up.
And if you want to contribute to the piece that Cuddlesandsharps read earlier, having another body and kink, contribute to that. Give your viewpoint. Make sure that shit gets out there because there are other people out there that are experiencing the same thing as you. And if you can help other people, that shit's powerful. Yeah. It's good. It's tasty.
So good.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. All of you that are listening, we hope to see you back for our next episode. We will be releasing episodes every other Wednesday until we get these radio legs up under us. In the meantime, check out our Beacons page, beacons.ai/metamourpod. That's METAMOURPOD. You'll be able to follow us at Metamourpod on most social medias and join in posting stories, reacting to polls, blah, blah, blah. We got a subreddit by the same name. If you need advice, or you just want to tell us how well things are going, the email to send that to is metamourpod@gmail.com. We love reading the listener submissions. Subscribe, drop us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting platforms. Metamour Than You Bargained For is a production of Roll to Finish LLC. I have been your host, Lyn Lawless. With me today was Cuddlesandsharps. Our producer/editor is Sloane Abbott, and our audio engineer is Fernandez. Get the fuck out of here and have a great day.